Okay, picture this. You walk into a super busy restaurant, and there are like 2 empty tables right by the door.
Okay.
One's got that "please wait to be seated" sign, but the other one is just like wide open, and you kind of hesitate.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you're like, my feet are killing me,
Mm-hmm.
something makes you think, maybe I should wait.
Right.
Maybe there's a reason that everybody else is waiting.
Exactly.
That my friend is social proof, whispering in your ear, and today we are diving deep into social proof.
Deep dive.
We've got stacks of research,
Let's go.
real-world examples to unpack.
Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
let's define this thing properly.
I think a great way to think about it is imagine you're at a really fancy dinner party.
Okay.
You've got like 5 forks in front of you and you have absolutely no idea which one to use for the salad.
Yeah, I've been there.
Right. So you kind of glance around sneakily and you see everyone's using the outermost fork.
Mm.
Boom. Problem solved.
Makes sense.
Social proof.
So basically, we're all just a bunch of copycats. Yeah.
In a way, yeah. I mean, our brains are wired to look to others for cues,
Wait.
especially when we're in new or uncertain situations.
So it's like our brains are saying, hey, they must be doing something right.
Exactly. Let's just copy that and hope for the best.
It's like that thing with early humans figuring out like which plants were safe to eat.
Oh, yeah. Great example. If everyone's eating berries from this one bush and avoiding another,
Right.
pretty good bet you should probably do the same.
Exactly. Survival of the fittest or the smartest or something like that.
Right. But what's fascinating is that this very ancient survival instinct
Yeah.
is still shaping our behavior today in ways that we might not even realize.
Okay, so who actually figured out this whole social proof thing?
So the term social proof was really popularized by a guy named Robert Cialdini.
Okay.
He's a psychologist and a marketing professor.
Interesting.
And he wrote this groundbreaking book
Okay.
called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. And it's
All right.
kind of like the Bible for understanding how we're influenced. It's a big deal. And social proof is actually one of his 6 key principles of persuasion.
6 principles of persuasion.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
All right. So we've got reciprocity.
Okay.
That's the idea that we feel obligated to return favors.
Okay.
Then there's commitment and consistency.
Okay.
The idea that once we commit to something, we're more likely to follow through.
Even if it's a bad idea.
Even if it's a small commitment, we tend to want to stay consistent.
It's like those free trial offers that rope you in.
Exactly. They get you to commit to that small thing.
Yeah.
Then they got you.
Sleepy.
We also have liking.
Okay.
We are more likely to be persuaded by people that we like.
Makes sense.
Authority. We tend to trust and obey figures of authority.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, scarcity.
Ooh.
Things just seem more desirable when they're in limited supply.
Like those limited edition sneakers everyone goes crazy for.
Exactly. The fear of missing out is a powerful motivator.
So this Cialdini guy basically cracked the code of human behavior.
You could say that he really did some incredible work, and it's not just theory.
Right.
He didn't just sit in an ivory tower coming up with this stuff.
Yeah.
He actually went undercover and worked in sales, advertising, and fundraising,
Wow.
just to observe these techniques firsthand.
Talk about dedication to your craft.
Right, so he was out there in the trenches seeing how persuasion really works.
That's incredible. So it's not just like some theoretical mumbo jumbo.
Nope, this stuff is based on real-world observation and experimentation.
Right. So we get it. Social proof is a thing, and it's super powerful. But how does it actually work?
Yeah.
Like in our brains, is there like a follow the crowd button up there?
Well, not a button exactly, but
Yeah.
there are some really powerful psychological mechanisms at play.
Okay.
One is our need to simplify decision-making.
Okay.
Think about it. We are bombarded with choices constantly.
It's exhausting.
It really is. So our brains rely on these mental shortcuts to save energy.
Right.
If everyone else is doing something, it saves us the effort of having to figure it out for ourselves.
I am all about saving brain power.
Right. We also have this deep-seated need to belong and to avoid social rejection.
Right.
If we deviate too much from the norm, we risk being ostracized, and that can be pretty scary.
Like showing up to a party in the wrong outfit.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
No one wants to be that person.
No.
And finally, we often assume that others have more information than we do,
Right.
especially in those ambiguous situations.
Like when you're at that restaurant with the 2 open tables.
Exactly. You think, maybe they know something I don't.
Maybe there's a secret menu.
Right. It's like our brains are constantly asking, what do they know that I don't?
Okay, this is all making sense.
Yeah.
But are there any like actual experiments that prove this stuff really works?
Oh, absolutely. There was this one study that's always stuck with me. It involved a bunch of people standing on a busy sidewalk just staring up at nothing.
Okay, that sounds a little creepy.
It was a little strange. The researchers wanted to see if they could get people passing by to copy this behavior. It worked. The more people joined in the staring, the more passersby would just stop and stare up too.
Wow, so it's almost like an invisible force
Yeah.
pulling us towards conformity.
It really is. And what's even weirder, there was nothing actually up there to look at.
So people were just staring at the sky for no reason.
Pretty much. And that's what's so amazing about it. It highlights just how powerful social proof can be, even in the absence of any real information or logic.
All right, so we've covered the basics. Social proof is real. It's powerful. It's driven by some pretty deep-seated psychological needs. But I want to know, where does this actually show up in our everyday lives?
Ooh, that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that next.
Okay, buckle up, everybody, because social proof is everywhere.
It really is. From the marketing we see every day to the policies shaping our society, get ready to have your mind blown.
All right, let's do it. Okay,
Yeah.
so social proof is everywhere. I get it, but honestly, I'm a little skeptical. Is it really that influential?
Oh, it absolutely is. And one of the most obvious places we see it is in marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. How many times have you bought something based on like a friend's recommendation or a glowing online review?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
But is that really social proof, or am I just like a sucker for good marketing?
It's both. Marketers are really good at using social proof to influence our decisions.
Okay.
Think testimonials as seen on logos, even just the sheer number of followers a brand has on social media.
Oh, yeah, those follower counts are everywhere.
It's like a badge of honor.
But does seeing a big number actually make me more likely to buy something?
It really does. It taps into that need for conformity we were talking about.
Right.
Our brains see a large number of people engaging with something, and we assume it must be good.
Okay.
It's like a shortcut that says, hey, if millions of people like this, it's probably worth checking out.
Okay, I can see how that works. But what about negative reviews? Don't those completely kill a product's credibility?
You'd think so, right? But here's the thing. A few negative reviews strategically placed can actually make a product seem more believable. Yeah, think about it. If every single review is just glowing, it starts to feel fake.
Yeah. Okay.
Like maybe the company is paying for positive reviews or deleting the negative ones.
Right. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. A few negative reviews sprinkled in make the positive ones seem more authentic, more real.
Interesting.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're not perfect, but most people really love our product.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Precisely. And marketers are getting more and more sophisticated in how they use this tactic. It's not just about showing reviews, it's about crafting a whole narrative that feels genuine and relatable.
Okay, so social proof is a big deal in marketing. But where else do we see this in action?
Let's shift gears to something a little different. Public policy.
Public policy.
Yeah, governments are increasingly using social proof to nudge people towards positive behavior.
Public policy sounds a little dry. Can you give me an example?
Okay, how about this? Have you ever noticed those signs in hotel rooms that say something like, most guests reuse their towels?
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. But do people actually care?
It might seem simple, but studies have shown that these messages can significantly increase towel reuse, saving hotels water and energy.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So just knowing that other people are doing the right thing can actually motivate people to do the same.
Absolutely. It plays on our desire to conform and do what's considered normal.
Right.
We don't want to be the odd one out, the person who's wasting resources when everyone else is trying to be environmentally conscious.
So it's not about forcing people to do something. It's about gently guiding them towards a better choice.
Exactly. It's called choice architecture, and it's becoming a really powerful tool for policymakers.
Interesting.
Another great example is using social proof to increase voter turnout.
Voter turnout. How do they do that? Do they send you a letter saying all your neighbors voted?
It could be as simple as that. Even just reminding people that voting is a common and expected behavior can make a difference.
So it's not about lecturing people on the importance of voting. It's about normalizing the act of voting itself.
Precisely. And it's not just about what we do, it's also about what we say. Think about charitable giving.
Okay.
Have you ever been asked to donate to a cause and felt unsure about how much to give?
Oh, yeah. All the time. It's like, am I being cheap? Am I giving too much?
Charities know this, and they often use social proof to encourage people to give more generously.
Okay, but how do they do that without seeming pushy?
They might share stories of other donors and the impact their gifts have had, or they might highlight the average donation amount,
Oh.
subtly suggesting what's considered normal.
So instead of just asking for money, they're creating a sense of community.
Exactly. And it works. Studies have shown that simply informing people about the donation behavior of others can lead to big increases in giving.
That's fascinating. So social proof isn't just about influencing our actions, it's also about shaping our perceptions and expectations.
Precisely, it helps us understand what's considered appropriate or desirable in different situations.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm starting to see the power of social proof everywhere now, but I also can't help but wonder, is this all a bit manipulative?
That's an excellent question, and it gets to the heart of the ethical considerations around social proof.
Because if we're constantly being nudged and swayed by the actions of others, are we really making our own choices?
That's a debate worth having, but before we go down that road, let's flip the script and talk about the potential downsides of social proof, because like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for evil.
Okay, so we've seen the good side of social proof, but I'm guessing it's not always sunshine and roses. What about the downsides? What about the dark side of all this?
You're right to be cautious. Social proof can be incredibly powerful, and like any powerful tool, it can be misused. One of the big dangers is the potential for groupthink.
Groupthink, that sounds kind of scary. What exactly is that?
Imagine you're in a group of people and everyone seems to agree on something. There's this pressure to conform, and no one wants to rock the boat. So dissenting opinions, even if they're valid, get silenced.
Ah, so it's like everyone's so worried about fitting in that they stop thinking for themselves?
Exactly. And that can lead to some really bad decisions, especially if the group is isolated or under pressure.
Okay, I'm starting to see the problem here.
Uh,
Are there any, like, real-world examples of this?
oh, yeah. Unfortunately, history is full of them. The Bay of Pigs invasion, the Challenger space shuttle disaster, even the Enron scandal. In each of those cases, groupthink played a role in leading to some pretty terrible outcomes.
Wow, so this isn't just some abstract concept. It can have some serious real-world consequences.
Absolutely. And it's not just limited to those big historical events. Groupthink can happen in any group, from a boardroom to a jury to a group of friends.
Okay, that's a little unsettling.
Ah,
So how do we avoid falling into this trap?
I think awareness is key. Being aware of that pressure to conform and being willing to challenge the status quo, even if it feels a little uncomfortable.
That's easier said than done, though, especially when everyone else seems so confident and sure of themselves.
It definitely takes courage. But it's also about creating a culture where different opinions are valued, where
Yeah.
people feel safe to speak their minds, even if their view is unpopular.
So it's not just about individual responsibility, it's also about the environment.
Exactly. And it's about actively seeking out diverse perspectives. If everyone in the room thinks the same way, you're much more likely to fall into groupthink.
Surround yourself with people who make you think differently.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, remember that social proof is just one piece of the puzzle. It's powerful, but it's not the only thing influencing our decisions. We need to consider all the information, trust our gut, and make our own choices.
So it's about being aware of social proof, but not letting it completely control us.
Exactly. Finding that balance between the wisdom of the crowd and our own judgment.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's our deep dive into social proof. We've covered a lot today, from the psychology behind it to how it plays out in our daily lives. We've seen how it can be used for good or for bad, and talked about the importance of thinking for ourselves and making informed choices. So next time you feel that pull of the crowd, remember what we've talked about today. Take a step back, question your assumptions, and trust your gut, because sometimes the best decision is the one that goes against the grain. Stay curious, stay critical, and remember, you don't always have to follow the herd